What's up, everybody? Levi here from freesalesadvice.com, and had a really great call today. So met with a much younger person, 28 years old, which is exactly a great age to catch somebody at to start saving for retirement. So again, this person has been working for about 4 years in the state pension system. Did not know about a 403b or what the options were available. But here's the funny thing: is we were set to meet at a Starbucks because they wanted to meet at an outside location, and she didn't show up. And so I was sitting there, emailed, texted, and called her, still didn't answer. So I sent her a text and I just said, hey, we had a 9 a.m. appointment, wanted to know if you were still making it. Well, since we were at the coffee shop, or that's where we were supposed to meet, I simply just pulled out my laptop and went to work. So we discussed this in a previous video before, or if you're seeing this one for the first time, that is point number one, is if your prospect or client is late, then you've already got that time blocked out. So go ahead, and I'm sure you've got something else you can work on. So pull out your phone or pull out your laptop, whatever you got, and bring a book. I usually have a book in my bag too, although I've got enough to do that I hardly ever read, but in between, because I also listen to audiobooks while I'm driving because I do so much driving. So that's where I consider I get my reading in. But the main thing is that she didn't contact me until about 9:45, and I had left about 9:40 actually. So there was a place around the corner that I wanted to check out and stop by and find out about some things I was looking at. So I went ahead and stayed there for about 40 minutes, enjoyed my coffee, got some work done on the laptop, and of course, as soon as I left and went to the store around the corner, then she texted me. She's like, hey, I'm so sorry, and are you still available? And I said, well, I'm already up in the area, even though I had a 12 o'clock appointment, another 12 o'clock appointment coming up. So our time window was shortening quite a bit. So eventually we ended up getting to meet at 10:20. And again, here's the other thing, is if you reschedule with somebody that stands you up or is extremely late, that's usually a good thing for you in the long run, because they feel guilty about that. And so if they feel guilty about that, then they're more likely, at least I've found, to go ahead and get started to work with you. So, and this was the case. Now, she just wanted a general idea and overview of everything, which I was able to give her, and that went really, really well. She's actually one of the perfect clients, one of those perfect scenarios where give me the information and then she made a decision. Now, she asked me, where should I start? Where should I start my contribution? Now, that's a tricky question, because if you throw out a number too high, you could scare them, and then they're like, I got to think about it. If you throw out a number too low, then they usually say, oh, I'll do that. And so I asked her, I said, what are you most financially comfortable with? And that's what I usually ask in that scenario. Or I say, well, the max is you can contribute up to $19,000 a year. Now, of course, when I say that, I've had a couple of people buy it, but most of the time people are going to say, oh, well, I can't do $19,000 a year. But when I've said, well, the maximum is $19,000 a year, I've had a couple of people that said, oh, okay, I'll do that. And you would be surprised. One time was a 27-year-old, and her reason for doing that was because her husband makes a really good income, multiple six figures. So, and apparently they had already had that discussion. So whenever I threw that out there, she said, absolutely. Actually, he told me that's what I should do. So that was, that's a good thing. But if I would have said, well, I don't know, the average is $300 a month or something, then if they go for that, you could end up sticking yourself in that position. So always assume the best, always assume the most, always assume the greatest contribution, always assume they're going to buy, always assume they're going to move forward. And if they don't, then you've got to readjust. The main thing is don't get discouraged. Don't let your ego get the best of you. So that was kind of the main thing. She did go ahead and get started, and we started up a contribution of $200 a month. And then as I was going into that, I said, hey, do you happen to have any other old accounts or IRAs laying around? And she said, yeah, but it's really small. And I said, well, what do you mean? How much is that? And she's like, it's only about $3,000. She goes, that was from a previous job. that I had working at Apple and Best Buy during college. I was like, oh, so here, I think most of the time you could get yourself in trouble if you have a 28-year-old who's been working for 4 years. You could assume they just came out of college and started this job. Well, that is the case, but if they work during college, then what if they have something? And even though she was saying that she wasn't familiar with savings or retirement accounts and basically didn't seem like she understood a lot, if I hadn't asked that question, do you have anything else laying around, then she wasn't going to give me that information. But just by asking her that, she told me about that. We looked it up, called the company, got everything in order, and she's going to roll over that $3,000. So, and that gives her something to build off of in that 403b. So always ask, always assume they have another account or an old account or something laying around, no matter how young or old they are, and just go that route. So those are kind of the key points of today. If somebody's late or it stands you up, but they are late, just hang out. You've already blocked that time. Get some other work done. See if they show up. If they do, they're gonna feel bad. They're more likely to do something with you. And number two, always assume the best. Assume they want to contribute the max. Assume they've got some money they want to roll over with you. Assume if they are going to buy the car, they're going to get all the upgrades or everything maxed out. If they're going to buy the house, they're going to buy the nicest house on the block. Whatever it is that you're selling, that's what you always want to assume. So that's all I got for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, like or share it. If you've got a situation that you're stuck with, you're working with a client and you can't seem to get past a certain concern or objection they have, or not really sure where to go next in that sales process with them, leave a comment, go to our forum page, post up the situation, let this community answer it for you. That's what we're here for. So again, thank you for tuning in, and remember, ABC.